Hello and welcome to the State of Soy. I'm Aaron Putsey. Water and soil, both are essential for growing soybeans. But more than that, they're essential for sustaining life. It's little wonder, therefore, that so many care about sustaining and improving the health of these two natural resources, farmers and landowners included. While there's universal agreement as to the importance of making water cleaner and soil stronger, opinions diverge on how to do it. And as with almost every environmental issue, farmers and landowners are critical stakeholders in the discussion and the results. On this edition of the State of Soy, we dive into the issue of water and soil quality, the status of both, practices that work and those that show promise, and where we go from here on an issue of such importance to our state and country, both rural and urban. Joining me for today's conversation are Roger Wolf, Director of Environmental Programs and Services for the Iowa Soybean Association, and Dave Muth with Peoples Company. Roger, let's get right to it. Give us the status of water quality in Iowa right now.
It's my pleasure to be here, Aaron. Thank you. When you think of the status, you really need to think about the time frame. So how are we describing it? So I like to think in big blocks of time. There's no doubt that we have made some progress in improving water quality in the state, but yet there are some significant challenges that remain. At Iowa Soybean Association, we actually have an accredited water quality lab, and so we like to take the data and follow the data in terms of the condition of the water. And we know that there are certain places in the state where we have water quality challenges, nutrient issues, and where we have those places, we're working to address those issues with programs. And we also know that our soils have a big role to play in water quality, and we know that the state is variable. And so we also are working to improve soil quality in those places as well. So bringing those things together is a big part of the solution. But, you know, the water, we still have some significant challenges. If I had to give it a letter grade, which is a risky thing, you know, it might be, in some places it might be a C minus, other places it might be a B, and in some places it might be a D.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of variability. I know, Dave, in your work, you work with landowners and with farmers, so I'm going to take a little bit of a different twist on the question. How would you rate the status of farmer and landowner engagement on the issue of water and soil health?
Yeah, it very much is a mixed bag. So I think that we've seen some of the technical parameters around improving and maintaining soil, some real progress. Erosion has gotten a lot of attention over the past decades. We're seeing a lot of practices in place. There's a lot of awareness. We're seeing a real resurgence of the soil health conversation as it plays into the whole picture. There's still some issues around resilience, right? And think about water infiltration, particularly as we've had some more wet years. And what we're seeing is that there's really good engagement from the perspective of how it impacts baseline economics. How are our farms and our land assets performing? And then how can we improve that performance? Those are the places where we can really see that engagement start to take place.
So as we focus on just kind of getting the lay of the land in terms of the quality of our soil and water, as well as the quality of the conversation going on between the farmer and the landowner, what's a misperception? I'll come back to you, Roger. What's a misperception out there that maybe is being perpetuated either through headlines or just kind of through rote, rehearsed reactions or responses or conversations that isn't true?
Well, I think, you know, what we have today is unprecedented alignment, at least in terms of addressing the issue. I think the misperception is that the belief that farmers don't care, or that it's just big ag and it's just the cost of doing business. As Dave said, the realities on this, you know, we have no choice but to farm in the face of the weather that's given to us, and we go from very cold to very hot to very dry to very wet, and farmers farm in that space. And as Dave mentioned, resiliency, you know, farmers have no choice but to adapt in that space. So as we're making progress over time, you look back to the 80s and 90s, we made tremendous progress in no-till being adopted, and I think it's just a continuation. But this idea that agriculture doesn't care or farmers don't care is a misperception.
It's a great point. And what's the criticism that maybe you hear, Dave, that doesn't square with the reality as you see it in working out there on the land?
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of segments of landowners and a lot of segments of farmers in terms of awareness and willingness to attack these various different issues. And you can find great case studies that fall into all of these different segments. When you look at it from a landowner perspective, one of the things that we really emphasize is the fact that long-term value and appreciation is the biggest component of return for a landowner over a long time. Whether you're talking about the family sort of operation that's going to be multi-generational, or you're talking about an investor coming in. And these issues are at the core of that long-term appreciation. And sometimes that gets a little bit sidelined with that focus on pouring resources in for a quick turn. We do have complicating factors with annual leases, as an example, where farmers have to be able to meet the bottom line on a year-by-year basis. And so there's some connections that still need to be made, but there is a large amount of awareness, and we're working pretty hard on trying to continue to grow that understanding.